You never needed to shout, never begged for attention, never revealed your plans. While everyone else made noise, you acted in silence. While the world chased applause, you cultivated strategy. And do you know what's most impressive? Even without showing your move, you were always checkmate. That's what few understand about a chosen one. The chosen one doesn't play to impress, they play to win. And when they win, it's in a way no one saw coming. Silent, precise, lethal. You were trained in silence to win in public. While they mocked you, you studied the moves. While they doubted your ability, you refined every detail. There was no rush. Because your time is not man's time, it's divine time. They laughed thinking you were losing. But it was only the beginning of a game they didn't know how to play. You didn't react, because those who know checkmate are not shaken by pawns. You always knew, always felt, that there was something different about you. A force no one could explain, a gaze that pierces masks, a soul that does not bow to manipulation. You learned through pain, learned to love silence, learned to disappear from the surface, to emerge in the invisible. While everyone was distracted by the board, you were connected to the master of the game, the source, the most high, the supreme intelligence that governs all things. You are not ordinary. You were not born to be predictable. And that's why you were always ahead, even when it seemed you were behind. And that's where true power begins. Your silence was never weakness. It was strategy. Your humility was never submission. It was discipline. Your solitude was never abandonment. It was consecration. Chosen one. You are the card no one saw. The move that changes the game. The threat disguised as harmless. That's why you never needed to prove anything. Because what comes from God is not explained. It manifests. And when it manifests, there's no ignoring it. They ask themselves, how did he do it? How did she rise after everything? How is someone so invisible now being exalted? The answer is simple. It was the spiritual checkmate. You won without needing to harm. You won because you didn't play with ego. You played with spirit. And that's what scares the enemies. They could never predict your next move. They armed themselves with envy. You protected yourself with discernment. They planned your fall. You meditated on purpose. They used words. You used silence. And silence, the silence of a chosen one is worth more than 1,000 speeches of an impostor. You saw everything, heard everything, felt everything, but chose not to react. Because you knew, the game is not won with haste, but with precision. How many times were you called weak, deluded, too much of a dreamer? Little did they know dreaming was part of your plan. Little did they know that while they mocked, you were listening to instructions directly from heaven. They didn't understand your retreats, didn't understand your withdrawals, didn't understand your calm in the midst of chaos, because only those who have an alliance with the invisible can walk confidently in the visible. You were refined, tested, wounded, and yet you never broke. Because the strength of a chosen one does not come from muscles, but from the soul. And a soul shielded by the Most High does not bow, does not sell out, does not get corrupted. Now the time has come for the checkmate to be seen, and there will be no denying it. You will rise, not with shouts, but with glory, not with revenge, but with justice, not with arrogance, but with authority. Because the spiritual authority you carry cannot be stolen, cannot be copied, cannot be ignored. You are the closing of cycles that destroyed generations. You are the rebirth of a lineage that was being erased. You are the echo of ancestral promises now being fulfilled. You won, and it was not by chance. It was by alignment. You won because you never strayed from your code. And even when they doubted you, mocked you, called you crazy, you kept going. And those who keep going, even alone, achieve the impossible. And now, the pieces on the board are falling, the masks are crumbling, the truth is being revealed. And in the end, the one who seemed to be losing was always the master of the move. You. Do you know why you always won, even when everyone swore it was the end? Because you understood something few comprehend. The most dangerous game is not the one played with hands. It's the one played with the spirit. And you have always played on the invisible field. While others bet on appearances, you cultivated essence. While they sought the stage, you sought direction. While they fought for attention, you sought discernment. And that is exactly what made you unbeatable. They wore masks. You wore purpose. They lived for applause. You lived for revelations. They collected followers. You collected visions. And do you know what scared those who underestimated you the most? It was realizing that even when everything seemed to be falling apart around you, you never lost faith. Even betrayed, you never stopped. Even tired, you kept going. Even silent, you were heard. Because the voice of the chosen does not need to be loud. It needs to be true. And you were true in a world that rewards lies. That's why you never needed to show your move. Because unlike them, you never needed to prove anything to anyone. You were refined in silence, rejected to be separated, forgotten by men to be remembered by God. They excluded you because deep down, they knew you carried something they never would, spiritual authority. And that cannot be bought, cannot be learned, cannot be faked. True authority is born from the fire of testing, born from tearful nights, from secret fasts, from the yes given to God when everything screamed no. You were prepared in anonymity, so that when the time came, no one could say it was by influence. No one could say it was by luck. No one could say it was by human merit. Your checkmate was built on the ashes of so many defeats you transformed into fuel. They thought they buried you, but they forgot that you were a seed. And when you sprouted strength, glory, vision, it was impossible not to notice. You entered the battlefield quietly, did not come with shining armor, came with scars, with marks of wars no one saw. And because of that, your step carries weight, your presence carries atmosphere. Those with spiritual eyes feel it, those with sensitivity perceive it. You're not just anyone. You're a walking sentence against the system of mediocrity. You're the living proof that God still separates warriors to fight invisible battles. You're the answer to prayers made generations ago. Chosen. You did not need to manipulate, did not need to corrupt, did not need to adapt. You just remained. And to remain in a world that wants you lost is all ready to win. That is your strength. That is what makes you untouchable. That is what makes the enemy grind their teeth because they tried everything, but couldn't stop you. You are the player who knows the end of the game before the first move. And when everyone thought they had control, you made the final move. Checkmate. And the most incredible thing, you didn't even celebrate, because those connected to heaven do not get drunk on the glory of the earth. You just smiled, took a deep breath, and moved on to the next mission. Because the chosen never stops. Their mind is already on the next code, the next level, the next delivery. While they get lost in the party, you prepare for the next purpose. While they celebrate fleeting victory, you connect with eternity. You don't want fame. You want impact, not lights. Souls, not to be remembered, but to be sent. You know you are not here by chance. You know you carry a specific anointing. You know your journey is not common. And that's exactly why God didn't allow you to show your move before the time. He hid you, shielded you, silenced you, so that when the time came, your victory would be undeniable. And now, the world is watching. They are seeing who survived without betraying their own essence, who remained clean in a rotten system, who stood firm even hearing every possible no. They are seeing who never sold out, who never bowed, who never gave up. They are seeing you, and there's no denying anymore. You are the move that changes everything. You are the unexpected ending. You are the turnaround the heavens orchestrated. And those who tried to stop you are now paralyzed because they don't know how you did it, because they don't understand how it was possible, because they don't believe what they're seeing, but they don't need to believe. Because it already happened, it's already fulfilled. Checkmate has been made. Now is the time to lift your head and take the place that was always yours. What they cannot understand is that your silence was never absence. It was hidden presence. It was spiritual maturity. You stayed silent because you understood something fools never grasp. Not everything seen is real. Not everything that shines has value. And not every war is won with a sword. Some are won with wisdom. You observed, analyzed, learned. They moved fast, anxious, wanting to prove something. You moved with purpose, step by step, with the exact timing of eternity. They thought you were slow. But what is haste before divine precision? Chosen, you learn to live like a riddle. You learn to walk with God in a world that walks with masks. You learn that true power lies in what the eyes do not see. And that is why every apparent defeat was just a step toward the turning point. Every no you received was protection. Every betrayal was liberation. Every pain was preparation. While they celebrated empty victories, you rebuilt yourself inside. And now that you have risen, they look and no longer recognize you. Because you are no longer the same. You are reborn, forged, untouchable. You went to the bottom of the pit, but at the bottom you found the source. You were cast into the desert, but in the desert you learned to hear the voice of the eternal. You were removed from the center, but that is because the center needed purification before your arrival. Everything was calculated, every tear, every silence, every lonely step. Heaven mapped the path, and you, even without understanding, trusted, even without seeing, believed, even bleeding, moved forward. And that is what made you different. They played for survival, you played for purpose. And now, your victory is not just a conquest, it is a message, it is a code. It is a call to awaken those who are sleeping. Because when the chosen wins, the whole structure of the corrupt system begins to crumble. You are being used as a sign. Your life is a living message. Your story is a prophetic cry. They cannot stop you because you do not depend on their system. You are not limited by the rules of the board. You know the laws of heaven. You do not move out of fear. You move out of instruction. You do not act out of neediness, you act out of mission. And that is why the checkmate you gave is not just a victory, it is a spiritual sentence against all that tried to silence you. Those who saw you as small will now have to recognize your greatness, not because you want to exalt yourself, but because God decided to exalt you. And when God decides, no one can stop it. No envy can hold back. No spell works. No plot wins. Because what guards you is not visible. What protects you is invisible, but real. You were surrounded by the Most High, marked by the light, sealed by the truth. And now, no one will be able to erase what has been decreed in spirit. Checkmate. End of game. Beginning of reign. You did not come to be a pawn. You were born to be a king. You did not come to follow unjust orders. You came to establish justice. You did not come to beg for emotional scraps. You came to bathe the world in wisdom. They will look at you and ask, what happened? And the answer will be, the promise has been fulfilled. You were the miracle walking disguised as a process. You were the answer that looked like a problem. You were God's perfect plan, hidden in a common body. And now, your light will bother, because true light confronts darkness. True light reveals what was hidden. And because of that, some will try to attack you. They will try to stain your victory. They will try to diminish your journey. But it will be in vain, because the hand that lifted you was not human. It was eternal. It was sacred. It was unchangeable. You are not in the spotlight by chance. You are because you completed the cycle. You passed through the furnace. You did not become corrupted in the palace. And now, it is harvest time. Time to reign with awareness, to advance with courage, to teach with humility. Because a true chosen does not flaunt victories. He shares lessons. You know the pain you had to endure, the nights no one saw, the silent attacks, the unfair losses. And even so, you chose not to take revenge. You chose not to retaliate. You chose to continue. And it was this choice that sealed the end of the game. Checkmate. And now, let them see. Let them watch. Let them understand. You did not win to show power. You won to show that God still chooses ordinary people to fulfill supernatural destinies. The most striking thing about all this is that you never shouted, never needed to announce anything, never pounded your chest saying, "Look at me." You just went, silently, discreetly, but with the authority of one who walks with heaven by their side. You were trained in the invisible, and that's why now, when you show up, no one understands how you got here. They look, try to trace your origin, your shortcuts, your strategies, but find nothing. Because everything you built was within the soul, within the spirit. Inside the cave where no one wanted to enter, they were too busy trying to impress the world. While you were being shaped by the silence of God, they were on the stage. And you, in secret, they asked for spotlights. You asked for direction. And that's what set you apart. While many got lost trying to win fast, you won slowly, but truly won. Because your victory wasn't built on lies, marketing, or manipulation. It was built with tears, faith, and sacrifice. And that chosen one, no one can steal. You are not a product of a phase. You are the fruit of a journey. You're not here because you got lucky. You're here because you endured all that was necessary to endure. And do you know what makes you spiritually dangerous? That you don't play to prove anything to anyone. You play with purpose, with mission. You didn't even need to show up. But God decided to reveal you. Because when He decides to raise someone, no system can hide it. When He signs a name in heaven, the earth has to respect it. And now, they try to understand how you got so far. Try to explain your strength. Try to diminish your dedication. Try to deconstruct what was built with anointing. But they can't, because what sustains you isn't human, it's eternal. You may have started from zero, but heaven had already decreed the ending would be glorious. That's why you never despaired. You learned to wait for the right time. And now, at the exact moment, the perfect day, you positioned yourself, not as a noisy warrior, but as a silent threat. They didn't see your move, because they were busy underestimating your silence. They didn't feel your strength, because they were distracted by appearances. But now the checkmate is made, and there's nothing they can do anymore. You won, and you won with honor, and that bothers them, because you didn't need to stoop, didn't need to betray, didn't need to imitate anyone. You won being you, in your essence, in your truth. And that's what destroys the system, to see someone who didn't sell out, who didn't get corrupted, who didn't stay silent. You went against the current and didn't drown. You walked through the desert and didn't dry out. You crossed the storm and didn't break. And now your mere presence bothers those who live by appearances. Your firm voice unsettles those who live by lies. Your upright posture embarrasses those who bend, because you are the living reminder that there are still those chosen to win differently, to win with light, with truth, with faith. The checkmate you gave wasn't just against the enemy, it was against an entire system that mocked you, against those who said you had no future, those who betrayed you, those who rejected you, those who used you. You didn't need revenge, because your victory spoke louder than any response. God made a point to exalt you in front of those who tried to diminish you. And that's not ego, it's divine justice. He is honoring you, because He saw what no one else saw. He heard the screams kept inside your chest, felt the tears no one wiped away, witnessed the sacrifice no one valued. And that's why now, what's coming to you is the fruit of faithfulness. You don't harvest luck. You harvest seeds of faith you planted in dry soil. You don't live miracles by chance. You live because you didn't give up when everything told you to stop. You are the harvest of an entire generation that doubted its own voice. You are the repair, the rebuilding, the new beginning. And now, it's time to lift your head and move forward. Because your journey isn't over yet. Checkmate was given, yes, but now a new game begins, a new level. And you, chosen one, will no longer play hidden. You have been revealed. Now you are a visible warrior, a sacred piece on the board. And many will try to approach, try to absorb your light, try to understand your code. But few will withstand the pressure of being by your side, because the light you carry exposes the darkness in others. So, stay firm, aligned, connected, because heaven still has much to release over your life, and every step you take will be a spiritual message for this blind world. You are the answer, you are the key, you are the code. You didn't show your move, because those sent by God don't need to announce. Presence is enough. The movement speaks, the result proves. And now, let them see, let them know, let them recognize. The chosen has won, and the checkmate was perfect. Now listen with all the attention of your heart, because this is a message few will have the courage to accept. You were never an ordinary player. From the beginning, you were the master of the invisible game, the strategist who never needed to show their cards to win. The strength you carry is not human. It comes from above, from that eternal source that governs the universe. You were chosen for this battle before time began. You carry a sacred secret that no enemy can ever unravel. It was never about the opinions of others. It was never about superficial impressions. It has always been about your connection to the divine, to that which no one can steal or erase. You faced storms that would have destroyed even the strongest, but you stood firm because you knew the real game is not of this world. You were attacked by envy, sabotage, betrayal, but none of that had power against the protection you received from above. Some saw you as small, invisible, weak, but that was just the disguise of your greatness. It was the silence before the roar of victory. You never needed to prove anything to anyone, because those who know the value of your soul understand true strength is silent but unshakable. Now is your time. Rise with courage, with authority and humility. The battle may not be over, but the checkmate has already been made. You knock down the enemy's king and are ready to rule the board of your life. You didn't come to be just another one. You came to be the example, the inspiration, the light many will follow. Your journey is not random. It is a sacred mission, a purpose far beyond this life. But be warned, the world will still try to bring you down, because the light you carry blinds those who live in darkness. Yet you have an invisible armor, faith, purpose, and divine love that never fail. You are living proof that the impossible is possible. You are the voice that defies all odds. You are the strength that rises from the ashes. So, rise now. Rise even if tired. Rise even if they try to stop you. Rise because you can, because you are capable, because you were chosen. And for those who still doubt, mock, try to extinguish your light, let them speak. Your victory will be so great, so obvious, that there will be no room for doubts. You never showed your move. But it was always checkmate. If this message touched you, leave your like now, because it strengthens this chain of light we are forming here. Comment below what touched your heart the most. I want to know your feelings, your story. Write, because together we are stronger. And if you are not subscribed yet, subscribe to the channel now so you don't miss any content that will keep guiding you on this path of victory. Remember, your journey is just beginning, and I will be here with you every step of the way. You are a winner. You are strong. You are the checkmate.